So in supraventricular tachyarrhythmias, this is atrioventricular reentrant tachycardia, that is AVRT. So in normally, the impulse starts from SA node, it stimulates the atrium, and then it reaches the AV node. Then it undergoes AV nodal delay, and then through the bundle of his Purkinje, it will go through the ventricles and will stimulate the ventricles. Now, in some patients, they have an accessory pathway between the atrium and the ventricles. That is why it is atrioventricular. So it can be anywhere. It can be here. It can be here. It can be anywhere. So in such people, the impulse it goes through the AV node, and it can go through this accessory pathway also. Is that this accessory pathway can conduct the impulse in both the anterograde direction as well as the retrograde direction. So finally, what happens now? How it is going to conduct the impulse, in which direction it is going to conduct the impulse, it depends on the refractory period of this accessory pathway, refractory period, as well as the direction in which the impulse is coming from. So it can go in any direction depending on whether it's a premature atrial contraction. If it's a premature atrial contraction, it can go in this direction. Or if it is a premature ventricular contraction, it can go in the opposite direction. Also, it depends on whether it's the accessory pathway is in the refractory period or not, whether the AV node is in the refractory period or not. So it can be in both the direction, the anterograde as well as the retrograde direction. Okay. So this causes, if the direction, impulse is coming like this, then it will stimulate the atria, then it will enter the AV node, then again it will stimulate the ventricles, then go through the axillary pathway. Or similarly, in the opposite direction, it can come from atria through the axillary pathway. Then again, if the AV node is open, then it goes through the AV node to atria again. So this is how the reentrant circuit is formed. So a better way to understand is by understanding an important subtype of this AVRT, that is the Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. So normally, what happens is this bundle of Kent is not having a delay, and AV node is having AV nodal delay. So the impulse travels to both the pathways, but through the bundle of Kent, it travels faster, and it stimulates the ventricle before the impulse which is going through the AV node is stimulating the ventricle. So there is a ventricular pre-excitation. So that is why the one important feature of this WPW syndrome is PR interval is less than 0.12 seconds. Now, the impulse which is coming through the bundle of Kent is taking more time to stimulate the ventricles, and that is why, and along with the PR interval being less than 0.12 seconds, these two are the reasons longer time taken to stimulate ventricles. Both the reasons are responsible for the delta wave. So there is a P wave and there is a slurred upstroke, and this is the delta wave. Now it's important to know that this which I have shown here, this is not an AVRT. So this is a normal sinus rhythm in a patient of WPW syndrome. That is, we will see a delta wave and PR interval less than 0.12 seconds. Now, when does an AVRT happen? So whenever there is a premature atrial contraction, and at that time, if this bundle of Kent is in the refractory period. So impulse will come from the SA node, it will come to the AV node, and it will also go to the bundle of Kent. But this bundle of Kent is in the refractory period, so it will block it. Now the impulse will go through the AV node to the ventricle, but by the time it reaches the bundle of Kent, it is no longer in the refractory period. So this impulse will go in the retrograde direction, retrograde, through the bundle of Kent, and it will excite the AV node, and then it will go through the AV node to the ventricle, then again it will go through the bundle of Kent. So this is how AVRT happens in WPW syndrome. So for AVRT to happen in WPW syndrome, we need a premature atrial contraction. So, what are the features of WPW syndrome? One is the PR interval is less than 0.12 seconds, short PR interval. The QRS complex upstroke is slurred, that is the delta wave, and the QRS complex is wide and with STT changes. Okay, so what are the features of AVRT? So, first of all, the rate is around 140 to 250 beats per minute. The RR intervals are regular. The P waves, that is retrograde P waves, are visible. This is important and differentiates it from AVNRT, where the retrograde P waves are invisible in a typical AVNRT, and in AVRT, the P waves are visible and the QRS complexes are narrow, as it is a supraventricular tachyarrhythmia. Okay, so the ECG is like there's a narrow QRS complex and the P wave, the retrograde, this is the retrograde P wave, which is visible. So the retrograde P waves are visible. This is a retrograde P wave. The QRS complex is narrow. So this is how we differentiate it from AV and RT. So what are the ECG patterns which are seen in WPW syndrome? So we have three types of patterns: one sinus rhythm, AVRT, and pre-excited atrial fibrillation. Now, what are the differences in all three of them? So one is in sinus rhythm. Okay, let's discuss sinus rhythm. So first is delta wave. Yes, it is present. QRS complex is wide. AV node dependence, yes, it is dependent on AV node. And is there need of any acute treatment? No. Now AVRT. So delta wave is present? No. QRS complex is narrow, as it is a supraventricular tachycardia. AV node dependence, yes, it is dependent on AV node. And acute treatment, yes, we can give vagal maneuvers or we can give adenosine in hemodynamically stable patients. And if the patient is not hemodynamically stable, then we can give immediate synchronized cardio version. Then pre-excited atrial fibrillation. So delta wave can be present intermittently. QRS complex is wide. AV node dependence, no. And this is very important because as it is not dependent on AV node, that is why there is a high risk of extremely high ventricular rates. And acute treatment, yes, procainamide. And again, if patient is hemodynamically unstable, then we can give synchronized cardio. So the treatment is vagal maneuvers and adenosine. So these will slow the conduction through AV node. They will terminate the reentrant circuit and restore the normal sinus rhythm. Now in WPW syndrome, we should avoid adenosine as it is said to trigger ventricular fibrillation. But sometimes when the AVRT is caused because of WPW syndrome, sometimes the patients are undiagnosed for that WPW component. So in such cases, adenosine might be given as a standard treatment of AVRT.